Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Drop Your Buffs podcast, where we recap the strategy, social game, and stupidity of this finale episode of Survivor. Woo, woo. I cannot believe it's here, Djon. This has felt like an eternity podcasting. When we started this, I was just like a fresh, let's go, let's podcast. And now at the end, I am like weathered. I've been 39 days of podcasting.
Yeah, no wide-eyed, bushy-tailed approach anymore. You have lived one season of a podcast. Congratulations,
It looked so easy,
Hannah.
didn't it? And then now we're here, and it's like, wow. Who knew that we had to have like fresh thoughts every week about Survivor, which we do.
Mean, I was going to say we do have fresh thoughts, but we always reuse some. We kind of like get back to where we were last week and go, actually, I changed my mind.
Oh, man. It has been a whirlwind of a season. And Djon, in this just last week of life, you have had a whirlwind of a week.
Stop. Yes, I participated in a little fun event last weekend, which unfortunately took me away from my Pokemon Go Community Day weekend. I wasn't able to participate in that. However, I did get to participate in the race across LA, which is a live game that is, I guess, in the same vein as the Amazing Race. We had 7 teams, 3 that flew in from three that flew in from Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
One that
oh my gosh, fun fact, I'm in Tampa, Florida right now.
Wow. There we go. Fun fact, you're on a family vacation, which is also why we had a little bit of a delay in getting this out. So thank you for bearing with us. But we came together in our Christmas themed shirts. Yes. Mine has kangaroos jumping across under snowflakes because that's how it is in Australia, apparently. As you can see, it's a t-shirt. We don't have sweaters.
Yes, and my Christmas shirt says, "You serious, Clark?"
Yeah. So
if
that's
you get
a reference.
The reference, then awesome for you guys. So anyway, so Djon was talking about how he got to compete in Amazing Race LA. It took place over 2 days.
Yeah.
You said there were 7 teams?
There were 7 teams. Okay. Nobody got eliminated. We treated the full 2 days as one round of the Amazing Race. And the aim was to be the first team to check in at the pit stop on the second day. We ran from Marina del Rey to Venice Beach, to Venice Canal, to Santa Monica Pier. We went to Century City. We ended up in downtown LA. We ended up in Hollywood. We ended up at Griffith Park. We're all over LA in these 2 days. I was so sore on Monday. It was such an amazing experience. And
at the end of all of it,
yeah, somehow we won, which was kind of crazy. I remember messaging you at the end being like, now we're both race winners because you won the Dash for Cash.
I won the Dayton one. Djon won the LA one. I was watching Djon's Instagram stories from Dayton on the edge of my seat. They were so funny. My favorite part of Djon Instagramming about the race is him and his partner Donna. Shout out to Donna. Love you. You're the best.
We love Donna.
Survivor Dress Lady. If you know who Survivor Dress Lady is, that's who Djon worked with.
2-time Survival Challenge player.
Yes, so we know her through Survival Challenge. They are on a bus getting ready to, were you going to the final location when you were on the bus?
The final pit stop.
They're ready to go to the final pit stop, and the bus is about to leave the bus spot that he's at, and they are hiding like under the seats so that no one can see them, so that no other teams will get on the bus with them. It was the best part, and I just loved it. And they got to the final location. What did you say, in the 4th spot or 3rd spot?
Well, we left. So we did the glass slide. So we left that in 5th place. As we were leaving, we saw the 4th place team. So we were trying to get to the last pit stop in 4th place and beat them. In the process, we arrived in 3rd place. So we don't know what happened to one team. For all I knew, one of them had already won and they weren't there anymore.
Right.
And so we saw the 2 teams who we knew were in 1st place and 2nd place completing this puzzle, 100-piece puzzle. Donna and I grabbed the puzzle, sit down, and we're like, she's like, I'm good at puzzles. I'm like, I'm good at puzzles. And we just
You are good at puzzles.
did it. We just did, we just did the puzzle from my survival challenge experience. People used to call me the puzzle master. I believed in Donna's fate. She's like, this is what I do. We just smashed it together, ran up to him. The other two teams are still going, and he announced that we were the winners. So we
Holy
went from
crap.
5th place approximately less than an hour earlier into 1st place. It was insane.
I'm just so proud of you.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But people aren't here to hear about that. If they do want to hear about that, please let us know, because we would be interested in possibly doing a podcast
Yes.
based on that experience. So let us know.
To
That
share
would be a
more
lot
of
of fun.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'll just throw in there that Dion's experience doing this has inspired me to possibly host a Date and Amazing Race. So if anybody is interested, possibly in competing in a Date and Amazing Race taking place, possibly over a weekend in June, please reach out to me. Maybe we could put you in a spot. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
Dion, you want to fly
I would
out?
love for that to happen. I actually am considering it. I'm like, I could totally help. That would be so much fun.
Oh, it's going to be fun. So anyways,
yeah,
on
not
top
only
of
would
that,
you get to compete in the Amazing Race, you would get to meet the two co-hosts of Drop Your Buffs. Isn't that great?
Yeah, what more do you want?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So on top of that, so Dion competes in this one weekend, has an amazing time, and then, just a few days later, probably it was longer than that, Dion gets to go to the finale of Survivor Island of the Idols. He got to be in the live studio audience. So,
well, we should clarify that this is the very first time that a live studio audience has been pre-recorded, meaning every single person in that room knew who won
before it even
anybody
aired.
else. So that for me, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you were like part of an elite group that knew who the winner was.
Well, yeah.
Although you might say that a lot of people knew who the winner was based on the edit of this season.
Wow, interesting. Interesting.
So I'm sure, I want to know all about your experience being part of the finale. You have been to a finale before.
Yes.
You have been to Heroes versus Villains finale.
Yeah.
And what was the other one you got to be a part of?
David versus Goliath.
Oh, what an epic one. You got to be a part of that. And honestly, this finale, in my opinion, was epic. It was
fantastic.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear I have so many questions for you about being in the audience, and maybe as we're recording, I might ask more questions.
Yeah.
But I guess just to start off, I would love to hear, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, what was the process of you getting it, going to the finale? Did they confiscate your phone? Were you told what you had to wear? Were you not allowed to wear logos or what does it look like going to the finale?
Okay, so a pretty quick rundown is you want to have business casual. So you look nice. You're not walking.
Do they tell you that?
Yeah, business casual.
Oh, I love it. It's like a wedding invite. Business casual, please.
Right. And you have to remember that you're only being seen really waist up. I mean, unless you're in the front row, they're not going to see what you're wearing.
Yeah.
I was not. I was up the back, but I loved that because I got to see everything on stage. I sat in the audience before to the side. I didn't get to see Jeff at all, and I got to see half of the jury, the way they set up on stage. Also, they did take our phones. I don't believe that they did that in the past. I believe I had access to my phone at the David versus Goliath finale.
So this was definitely not to spoil anything.
Correct.
Probably.
However, they did say to us, they're like, well, when you leave, it still won't have aired. So just, just as a good act, of faith and all that kind of stuff, just,
So they weren't super rude. They weren't no one better tell what happens. They were just kind of very nice about it and
well, they understand the reality of it, which is we can't stop you.
Yeah.
We will find you, but well, not even that we will find you. They were just saying that in the past there's been situations. I think it was someone on an X Factor series released that somebody made it on someone's team. The Voice, I think it was The Voice, and then they were able to backtrack because. That's very interesting. But they were just saying that they're not going to go to those extremes. However, they would appreciate it if people weren't going to start blasting it all over social media.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. So business casual, phone confiscated. What was the vibe going into the finale? Like the people you're sitting around, were
Mm-hmm.
you also surrounded by other fans, or were there any family members of contestants near you at
Oh,
all?
the family contestants, so they pretty much take up a majority of the front rows. I saw
Okay.
former contestants. I was sitting behind. Oh, why have I gone blank? Ghost Island, Kellen. I was sitting
Oh,
behind Kellen.
really?
I
Kellen.
was also sitting behind Albert from South Pacific.
Whoa, Albert
That's a
was
blast for
there.
the past. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Um,
cool.
Across from us was Brett from Millennials versus Gen X.
No. Oh my gosh,
And
that is so cool.
and even somebody who got a seat filler's spot was Tina from Panama.
Timber Tina.
Timber Tina. She was like, because they called out and Jeff was talking to the audience at one point and she put her hand up. He's like, yeah. And she's like, it's me, Timber Tina.
And he was like, who? Just kidding.
Yeah, no, he was like,
How can you
oh,
forget?
Tina.
Oh,
But
Tina.
yeah, so surrounded by a lot of, alum from Survivor, a lot of
Oh, that
family
is
of Survivor
so cool.
contestants. And yeah, just got to watch it with a cool crowd. It was a very responsive crowd. A lot of people
Yeah.
were very vocal about who they were rooting for and who they weren't rooting for. But I know that the people I was sitting with going into the episode, we really didn't have a strong, I definitely want this person to win.
Okay.
My gut was telling me that I wanted to see Dean win.
Yeah, that's what I could tell over our past podcast, that there was that growing Dean love. Like, come on, Dean.
I love the underdog story. And for me, that was his arc, being the person who, I mean, did they give us the underdog story by not showing him in the first 2 episodes and then seeing where he gets to? So they want us to think that he pushed even harder? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I will say that, like, I went into the finale, like, I'm one of those people that I'm not an edgic person that like really analyzes the edit and like, all right, who got what confessional? How many confessionals did they get? But I do pay attention to the edit of like who's getting a really great edit. And the fact that Dean wasn't in the first 2 episodes of Survivor, like I automatically wrote him off. Like there's no way that they would not put the winner of Survivor in the first 2 episodes. But Survivor editors are always fooling us. So I did have that in the back of my mind, like, wow, this could be Dean's win. And especially when he really did an awesome job at the final tribal. I'm like, are we seeing a Dean win right now? I know I'm cutting to the end, but yeah, like you said with the edit, it's just kind of like, this could be Dean taking it home. Now I want to hear, so you said that the audience was pretty vocal about who they were rooting for and who they weren't rooting for.
Yeah.
Who do you want to share, like who you noticed got a lot of that attention?
We noticed that Janet got a lot of love.
Of
I
course.
believe that Nora was getting some love. Dean didn't necessarily get as much love as we were giving him. I don't think Tommy was getting as much love either. So I just think the women, like Lauren was getting love too. Like I think they were very much pushing for them because I think it's almost like expected from the guys to do well.
Yeah.
Which is another really weird thing about the whole archetype of this season.
Yeah.
I came into this season going, I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna say a woman's gonna win this season. And unfortunately I lost that bet. So yeah.
And I've been really thinking about that, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe a man won. I can't. Well, I'm not upset.
Another fun fact?
Yeah, bring it.
Fun fact for today.
It better be fun.
I don't know what's fun as much as it is a fact. So this final, we saw 2 men and a woman. So we saw Tommy, Dean, and Nora. Last season, we saw 3 men and a woman. The season before that, we saw 3 men and a woman. The season before that,
2 men and a woman. 2 men and a woman.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
It's okay.
I'm kind of going crazy. But for the last 5 seasons, there's been 2 men and a woman in the final 3. Now, out of those final votes, there's 52 votes accumulated.
Ugh.
2 of those votes went to women.
Holy crap! Is that including the Chrissy vote?
Yeah.
Oh, so those 2. Oh my gosh.
Was it 2 votes for Chrissy?
I don't remember, but I think she got.
Angelina didn't get any votes. Nora didn't get any votes. Laurel didn't get any votes. That's Chrissy, and I'm forgetting one season. But the only
Julie did Julie get
Julie
any votes?
didn't get any votes.
Oh
no.
my gosh. I think those were Chrissy votes.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my heart. Okay, so I have seen.
What is it?
Yeah, so here's the thing. you want to say like, oh, these women aren't getting what they deserve. Now, in my opinion, that I do not think that Chrissy got what she deserved, but we did talk
I'm the
about,
same. I think that she should have won that season.
we do
I
talk
also think
about,
that Julie should have got more votes than Gavin.
yeah,
but I don't know if I'm alone on that one.
I agree with you. So here's the thing. I've been thinking like, okay, so our women are not being seen well in this end game of Survivor. They are not being perceived well.
Yeah.
But when we come to this season, we talk about Janet got voted out, huge threat. Lauren voted out, huge threat. So so you know what? They are being seen and perceived as threats, and they could win it. And like, I just want to take a moment to like really talk about Janet is the stereotype older mother figure who typically gets to the end and is just dragged and hated because the mother figure turned on people. But Janet was not that this season. And
Not
so
at all.
we saw that perception get changed. So that being said, Nora gets 0 votes, and I totally understand why she didn't get any votes. We see at the final tribal when she starts making the analogy about, this is like being on a date, and everybody on the jury was like, shut up, Nora. They did not want to hear one more thing from her.
The audience was in hysterics at that point.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So like, it wasn't a female thing. It was a Nora thing. They could not stand listening to her anymore.
Well, I will say this. Nora has come out since it's been filmed, it's aired, all that kind of stuff. And she has said she's taken a lot of responsibility for her place in the final 3. And she's also spoken kind of on behalf of the women who are making it to the end of the game, which, can be perceived either way. But she pretty much has said that women are allowing the jury to let them believe that they are a certain type of person and in a certain type of place in this game, which is, it's a very interesting take because she was saying that the boys weren't letting the jury tell them the game they played, but she was allowing them to do that.
Yeah, I heard that the jury really berated Nora more than we saw, that they were really down on her. So you're saying that Nora was like, she like let it happen? Is that what you're saying?
Well, she's saying it's her responsibility to own her game and, fight for her position and stand her ground. I think that was the biggest part because, we've seen people in the past, a lot of the, and I say all of this very much saying this is traditionally what we've seen in the last couple of seasons. This isn't just the balance between men and women. This isn't a political stance.
Right.
But the men that we've seen in the finals tend to just do this pissing contest where they're trying to one-up each other. I mean,
we saw it really with Tommy and Dean.
Oh, pat on the back. I'm like, go make out, get a room. It was like, and then Nora's just sitting there. And, a lot of people have also said that Nora was, agreeing with these positive statements about the boys behind her. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing because you do want to acknowledge what the people next to you have done, but one up them. Say what you were able to do that they weren't able to do.
Right.
And it's just kind of like, you don't have to sit there and shaking your head and say, no, that's not true. I was better. You don't have to do that. You can just say, that was their game. This is mine. Please reward me the $1 million.
Yeah. Watching the finale again, I did understand Nora's arguments for herself and like her pitch was for her game and how like, and she was like saying like, it's okay that I'm an emotional player and it's okay that I'm quirky and that I'm different. Like that's okay for someone to win being different.
Yeah.
But the problem is that she had lost the jury's respect ages ago.
Yeah.
She
lost Lauren's respect the day before.
Oh dear, that we'll get to that, right? But for some reason, the way that she was behaving on the island, which truly she's probably just being herself. She was not earning their respect, and she needed to have more control over how she spoke and what she did on that island to garner respect. And I feel like if she came back to play again, I feel like it would be totally different. I think she could do a better job.
Yeah. And I think the hardest part of going into that final 3 is knowing that in the early game of Survivor, there were certain things that would qualify you the win. And I'm not even going to say the OG seasons. I'm going to say the middle seasons where people were realizing that it's not enough to be a likable person. You needed to have played some kind of game.
When the resume started.
Right. Because, I mean, season 2, we saw Colby beast a bunch of challenges. However, Tina was that likable person who was the underdog story. So he didn't even get rewarded for that. However, in the middle seasons, like, it wasn't enough to be likable. But Nora's that archetype. It wasn't about being likable. She got 3 immunity wins. She won her place at the final tribal council. She was at the bottom of a tribe week 1 and managed to get herself to the end of the game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, her resume was the strongest out of the 3, in my opinion, in terms of like season long.
Yeah.
Because Dean's resume was built in the end game. Sure, there was a survival in the start of it and there's that social aspect, but he wanted to play the end game, something that I've compared to you to that of Big Brother, where it's like, you know, you stay low in the first half of the game and then you pick up at the end. And then Tommy, his resume for, you know, the stuff that is deemed gameplay in terms of like immunities, rewards, this and that, very, very low on the you know, the list of things he did actually accomplish.
0 idols, 0 immunity wins. He got brought to the end.
He won a reward, which he stated is part of why he was able to keep the people in his alliance close. But in terms of, and I mean, like, that's not just to take away the fact that he deserved the win based on his social interaction, because you and I have both discussed how the social game is possibly the most important game out there. You know, it's not enough to just win challenges to get you to the end. It's not enough to just rely on hidden immunity idols to get you through one vote.
And that's what Tommy's win showed this season.
Yeah. But the thing is, for me, it wasn't, he said it himself, he needed to get rid of Lauren so that they weren't going to share votes on the jury. But for me, it was just kind of like, these weren't all his own moves. So, but I think it's interesting that she, I guess we didn't see the full footage, but it seems like she let him take the credit for them.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like what I was saying last week, that I could see Lauren doing that for the sake of him winning. Man, you know, like, thinking of this final tribal, it really was the battle of Dean and Tommy. And it was epic, you know, complete with the thunderstorm, with the quick downpour. It was insane.
Before we get ahead of ourselves, I do really want to discuss Janet and Lauren before we get into this.
Before we get to the final. Okay, let's do that.
Like, let's talk about the first tribal council we got to. The 5 of them walk in. Janet's feeling confident as anything.
Was your heart breaking? Like, everybody knew what was coming, and every time we got a confessional from her, I was like, oh no.
Like, I was sitting in the audience and like there was complete silence.
Really?
You just knew that everybody knew that this was the end of her game, because yes, Dean had the option not to play the idol nullifier, but it only would have made sense if it really was in his best interest to take out Lauren right then and there. And that's another thing to kind of say against Dean's game, which is he didn't really have control over a lot of the votes. He didn't even vote for the right people. I mean, 5 of his votes were charisma.
I know.
You know? So it's like, his votes and where he stood on the line of where the majority was and all that kind of stuff, very questionable all season. However, you've got an idol nullifier. You know, if you play it, it will be played correctly and that person will go home. Do you not make that move? And he even said at the end, now I'm jumping, he didn't need to play anything that he had, but it's like that was a pitch for and against him.
Yeah, so that was a crazy dichotomy of, like, that just blew my mind. We have not seen that before.
No, where he's like, I've got all the advantage.
Yeah, and then people are like, but it didn't really amount to anything. And Tommy's like, those are just things you found.
He goes, those are souvenirs that you can keep in your room.
Oh my gosh, but you would say that the nullifier against Janet, that was a huge move. And that was the whole point of him getting it on Island of the Idols, was supposed to be a jury-winning move.
Here's the thing. That's a move that Tommy needed. He needed Dean to use it to take out Janet. However, he was very quick to tell him that it was an unnecessary move and, you know, didn't benefit him in any way. I was like, wow.
Oh, dang.
How the tables have turned.
So what are your views on the nullifier? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts?
I've seen the nullifier be played in different seasons in Australia. And the nullifier, I saw it play out on that show before it played out in this US version. Sorry, this is a really long version of explaining this.
Oh, that's okay. I'm here.
But the Australian version, when they used it, you could use it like a hidden immunity idol. You see somebody play a hidden immunity idol, you play your nullifier.
Oh, you play your nullifier after they play the idol.
And I
feel like I saw that too.
I hated it.
Yeah, it was too much power.
You literally just take an idol away from someone. I like the gamble. I like having to write someone's name on this nullifier. I like there having to be some kind of intellect around it rather than just like a free pass. And for me, it wasn't even just a free pass. You essentially just take any responsibility out of somebody else's hands. You know, when you think that you have this idol, like Janet thought she had this idol, but it was how she was able to conceal that idol, how she was able to kind of like play it stealthily, and like there was a little bit of that where in the other version there's no room for that. You can try and make it work for you and it will never work for you.
If we had had a final 6 without Dan getting removed, that would have added a whole nother layer to Dean choosing whether he played the nullifier at 6 or 5. Like that would have added more to his decision making, but it was easy for him to be like, oh, we're at 5. I can play it.
I also think it's very interesting that we saw the whole fake clue to the legacy advantage kind of get played out the episode before. So we didn't have to kind of like way into final 6 when we're already at a final 5. So I think that was very kind of like, in terms of like production and editing, they're like, let's at least acknowledge it because it's going to come up at Final Tribal Council, that we need to address this information. We need to have this material up. And then we can do that and still go into our final 5. Mind you, this was the first final in a couple of years, or seasons, I should say, that we've seen it start with 5 people. And I really liked it.
I know, it gave us more time with these people. And so the final 5 started, and this was really freaky for me that I like finally realized, I'm like, something feels off when they're starting at the island of the Idol's mansion and like the whole rest of the game plays out at the mansion. It was so weird. We have never seen this before at Final 5. Like it felt like the day 39 breakfast started with Final 5 and just lasted. Like
there was parsley. Did you know?
Parsley. And there's chickens and like it. It was really fun. Like I said, this was a really fun finale. Like it was so different, but it felt weird not having, like Eric. What's his last name? The ice cream scooper, Eric.
Eric. I want to say like Rosen.
Oh, Reichenbach.
Reichenbach, that's the one.
He got removed, medically evacuated from a game
4, right?
At Final 5 or 4. I can't remember because at Final 5 is also when he made his huge blunder where he gave up his idol, his immunity necklace. Anyways,
insane.
So he got evacuated like during like at least Final 5 or Final 4 because he was so malnourished.
Yeah.
Like, and here we are, we're watching a Final 5, like living it up.
Yep.
In this mansion.
They're probably trying to avoid that now. They're like, we want to watch them all get to the end. Like, let's help them out.
What did you think about the idol hunt on Island of the Idol? Spoiler alert, I freaking loved it. I thought that was so fun. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I was so pissed at Tommy for telling Dean about it. And go for it.
I kind of love that he told Dean about it because it meant that Dean could make this work for him. So
that was my drop your buff moment. Okay. So we see Tommy hunting for it. We see him tell Dean, and Dean is DK chilling. He doesn't really care. He goes, I got to go take a poop. I'll be back and we'll do this. I loved that part. Yeah. And my drop your buff moment is when we cut to the confessional where Dean goes, Tommy shouldn't have told me all this because I'm going to find this for myself. And I was totally sold on the fact that Dean wasn't really caring about this advantage. So my jaw dropped when I realized, oh, Dean does care what's going on right now.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that like he let Tommy do all the hard work.
I know.
And he just reaped the rewards.
Oh my gosh. He figured it out.
He did. But like, I just feel like if Dean were able to articulate himself a little better at the end in that way and just kind of be like, I legitimately didn't have to do as much as you guys because, not for any other reason, just other than you were willing to do the work for me, and by me doing it myself, I was just going to be putting a bigger target on my back. And I think he said that in fewer words. I don't know that he articulated it as well as he possibly could have, but it's like, it's hard because, like, I mean, even Tommy didn't necessarily talk himself up great. And oh no, we're going to talk about when we get to that. Just remember that I have an and then that's with the final 3 tribal. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have something else I want to say about the final tribal too about Dean. So
I'm going to place something on the couch so when I remember, I look at it, I remember. I forget things.
Okay. Well, let's get through the let's talk about the lore info and let's get to this final tribal. But really quick about this idol hunt. So I had a question for you. So Tommy tells Dean,
yes,
like, I'm going to tell you one more clue, but if you find it, you give it to me, okay? And of course, Dean says, okay.
Yeah.
So Djon, what do you do if, do you do exactly what Dean says and you go like, sure, okay, I'll give it to you? And like, what do you think about this whole situation? Like, as Tommy, do you even say that in the first place? Like, what are your thoughts?
If I were Dean, it would have taken everything in me to just look at him and say, yeah, sure. Because I would have wanted to look at him and go,
are you kidding
me? Like what?
No.
Even just the way that Tommy was saying it to Dean is just like, I'm not good, so you need to help me, but I need to reap the rewards going into a final 3.
But I totally get it. I totally get why Tommy said that. He's like, I'm gonna fill you in on these clues, but I want you to give it to me if you find it. I get it, but like you're saying, like I would be like Dean, like, oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so the thing for me was Tommy got everything he needed and didn't need to tell Dean about this in theory. He figured out all the early stages. The whole color coordination, he worked that out, even though he's colorblind.
Right. He's the one who found the plank when Dean walked right over it.
But then he showed him this symbol. That's strike 2.
Because he couldn't figure it out. He could not figure it out.
On me.
Yeah. Man. So I don't know. I think that the move that if Tommy's going to say that, like, if you find it, give it to me, then you have to stick by Dean and like say, all right, we're in this together. Let's find it together. And you stick together.
Yeah.
But obviously Dean was DK chilling and had to take a poop, and Dean played it so well. He pretended like he was not into anything, just taking a swing. Oh, that was epic.
I just think it was a dick move for Tommy to be like, but it's mine.
I know. Yeah. So anyway, so that was the idol hunt. I love those. It goes back to, past seasons where people had to have clues to find idols. We haven't had that in a while. No. We've just had people finding them in trees randomly. I loved the legit clue hunt. And
there was like a nice message from Robin Sandra.
I know, that was so precious.
Like, shown at like the end, and it was like, these are cute. And then, obviously Missy had a big reaction to that. So it was like, these were all fun moments. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, did I have a drop your buff moment this episode? But like the episode was so strong of a final.
It really was.
5, in my opinion. Like you kind of could go in, and we said this last week, you can go in having pros and cons for all of these people. And I think we didn't say that we thought that Janet was going to win because we just didn't see her getting to the final 3, knowing that she had an idol and he had a nullifier. It was going to be a very rare situation that she was going to be able to make it to that tribal council.
Yeah.
Then we get to the final 4. Ooh, we get to that immunity challenge. Oh, mind you, can we talk about the first immunity challenge? And
I was actually going to ask you.
Close that immunity challenge was.
Yeah, what stuck out to you with these challenges? The first immunity challenge, we had the get the ropes off of the hanging thing, put
Use
the
them
ropes
as a ladder.
On a ladder. Then you had to pull a ring up a ladder. And then at the end, you have to put balls into 2 holes.
Yeah, on the maze.
Oh my gosh.
Maze. I'm going to help you out there. Table maze.
Yeah, Djon, I had this, I know, right? And then the next immunity challenge was, oh my gosh, the most stress-inducing challenge I can imagine, where they had to build Island of the Idols words on a balancing.
Now, Jeff did say coming
into
it, he's like, a recurring challenge or something like that. Have we only seen it be played once?
I
Or
can
has it
only
been
remember
multiple times?
Heroes, Healers, Hustlers.
That's what I thought as well. Because that
A part
also,
of me wonders if we saw it with Worlds Apart. Did we see Mike Holloway do this? Or I might be thinking of a different challenge. That's a really deep pull. I've only seen that season when it first aired. So it's been years.
Heroes, Healers, Hustlers was, I only wanted to watch
that one was iconic because who had the upside down letters? Oh, that was.
Oh, I don't even remember.
I think like Chrissy might have had an upside down.
Wasn't it? I thought it was
or
Ben, and then he had to Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're really pulling here. Because the last 5 seasons, look, we're going to be talking about recent seasons very soon. Once this whole episode's done, we're definitely going to be rehashing all of that.
All the winners.
I know, but for these challenges, that first challenge was a nail biter. Dean
really
and
was.
Tommy were side by side the whole challenge.
And then when we get to the balls, the first 2 people to sink balls are
Janet.
Tommy and Janet, right?
Yeah. So
Janet, Dean wasn't even in the running at first.
Nope, because the thing is, the women pretty much all kept together as well, but they weren't that far behind. Everybody was on the table at the same time, and I would go as far as to say that Tommy didn't get the first one sunk until every single person was on the table. He wasn't that far ahead. Everybody was on an even playing field. Then we see Dean make the move, which is to sink the furthest away ball. So the ball in the furthest away hole.
Yeah.
Is that, we've seen challenges in the past, in different seasons where that's played out. Was that the winning move right there?
I think that is a good way to go because you get a feel for the maze and you go for the hardest one and you really get a feel for it as you go. And then it's so easy to just get that second one done after you've done the first one.
But we saw him drop it a couple times, and you saw it just kind of get there and then just jump.
Oh, I know that was. They would pump up the music right when it was about to happen. You're like, oh, here it is, he's gonna win, and then nope, he didn't.
But not only that, they had it to the point where you think it's gonna make a move, and then there's dead silence for 5 seconds, and you're like, can you just do it? And then he doesn't even get it, and you're like, oh man,
come on. Hey, so thinking of these final challenges. My question for you is do you have an idea of what challenge you would be best at the end? What challenge do you think that you would love to see at the end? I'm thinking of, this is the opposite, but Survivor Philippines, Malcolm gets to the last immunity challenge and it's balancing, it's holding
the
up
marble.
What did you call it?
The marble sitting on the logs.
Holding up a marble with his hands. He's holding together a bunch of pieces of.
That was Fans versus Favorites as well. That's the one that got rebooted.
Yep. And Malcolm knew that he would lose that challenge because his hands are so shaky.
Yeah.
And so I just feel what challenge do you show up and you see it and you're like, oh yeah, I've got this in the bag.
Well, not the marble because I feel I'm also shaky.
My hands are shaky too.
So for me, it just being able to sit there, for me, my strength is from
endurance,
my core,
do you think? Mm-hmm.
my core and being grounded.
Okay.
So I think mine is one hand strapped behind my back, watching the ball go down those mazes, catching back up the top, watching, go back up top. That's my challenge. I've got a long reach on me.
Yeah.
And I am very patient. I kind of get myself into a bit of a trance.
Yeah.
And that's a very comfortable one for me.
Would you be able to count down the time between when you release the balls into the maze? How they say to kind of count it.
Right. It's for me, it's less of the actual just counting, but it's more of a rhythm thing.
Right.
So for me, it's all right, it's hit that thing in the middle. Let's get the second one. All right, now we got 3. I have to wait for this one a little bit before that one goes. Now let's get this one going. So it's more of a rhythm thing, even though I know that both of them are designed where one's going to be a little bit quicker than the other one.
Yeah.
You can't ever really have them even.
You could try, yeah.
But for me, if I just kind of sit there and compartmentalize, I think that's the challenge for me. This challenge with the whole balancing thing, I'm not
with the letters.
Yeah,
that one looks so hard.
I don't know that I like it, to be honest. And it seems too temperamental for me to kind of get behind.
It really makes me think of the challenge from Co Wrong that Julia won, where I think Julia won it, or maybe it was Michelle, but like where you're walking through a ladder, and if you touch the ladder with your
The
foot,
dominoes fall.
the dominoes fall. Like,
Andrea Balke did that one as well. They did that
yeah.
in, I believe that was Game Changers, because I think Sarah Lucina played that as well.
Yep.
Like, they
So just
definitely
kind
put
of
that
like
one.
having that temperamental thing where you can't touch it too
Mhm.
much, and I don't
Yep.
know. It's
And people just wanting to
definitely.
rush back to hit them over, and them not even making it back because they knocked them all over.
I feel like it could be anybody's game with these types of challenges. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Same
For
with the
me-
challenge you mentioned.
For me, I'm a purist when it comes to a lot of things, and for me, Survivor, the idea of standing there, hand on a
Oh,
totem.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the
Australian
final three
Survivor still
challenge for
does
me.
that, don't they?
Well, the last season they changed it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
That's too bad.
but it still is an endurance challenge, and I
Mhm.
believe they endured over 6 hours of it.
That is legendary Survivor.
Yeah.
How long are you going to fight for it? And
Mhm.
on top of that, legendary Survivor is, are you going to be the Richard Hatch who drops out and says, I know both of you are taking me, and then he ends up winning? Like, there's so much gameplay that happens.
Okay, my question is, Jamal made a statement at the final tribal council that nobody has been taken to the end and won. Now, is this based off of the seasons where fire existed?
I think he'd better just be talking about that. Yeah, because we've seen plenty of times where people have been taken and won.
I mean, the first 2 seasons of the show.
Yeah, and then Wu taking Tony.
Right. You know,
Like,
it's like,
there's plenty of examples.
because like it definitely caught me, and I was like, what is he referring to? And I think it is purely just that aspect of making fire.
Just the fire so far. Yeah, this is the first time someone taken during the after the fire challenge.
So we're saying in the last 5, not including this season, the last 4 seasons, whoever won the final immunity challenge did not win the game. Because Dom won Ghost Island.
No. What? Wendell won.
No. He
won okay. So you're saying, whoever's won the fire doesn't win the game?
No.
Sorry.
The immunity challenge.
Okay. Oh.
Sending 2 people to fire.
Yeah, so Chris Underwood won it, but then he gave it up to win the fight, to battle Rick Devens in the fire by himself. So that's a whole other story. And then
that's a different play out.
Yeah, Chrissy won it the first time. Mm-hmm. She won that immunity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're like, Dom won it the next time.
Because the thing is, for me, it's starting to give me the idea of like, why would you want to win immunity now? Other than guaranteeing yourself a spot in the finals, do you just have to play the fire challenge and win it? Is that how you win Survivor now? Is that the formula?
Tommy got dragged. Well, you know, the term is dragged. Tommy got brought to the end and he won. So if you have the resume, or not the resume, but if you have the.
I just think that there's so much going on this fire challenge now. That
I don't like it. I do not like it.
I don't either, because for me, it kind of takes away from, they're like, yeah, but they played fire and they won. Cool. What about the other 38 days?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's what they were saying about Dean at the end too. Like, all right, cool. You won the fire.
Yeah. Oh, they weren't letting him use that to his advantage. All right.
Okay, so talking about the fire challenge, we got to talk about my girl. I knew her end was coming. Yeah. I really, really, really hoped that she would win the fire challenge against all odds.
I know you were hoping that.
But man, did it hurt. Nora picking who was going to fire. Oh my gosh. We have never seen on the show, we've never seen Tommy as nervous as he was. Did you see all of his nervous tics when she was talking? Like, he kept on touching his face. He kept on wiping his nose. Tommy was
even
so
him just calling
nervous.
out to her in the water. All right, Nora, we're waiting.
My girl, we're ready for you. So Tommy is so nervous. Dean is DK chilling. And Lauren is so pissed before it even starts. Lauren is so pissed. Also, okay, so talking about how Nora went into the water, on my second watch of this episode, Nora's hair is dry when she's giving this monologue, telling them who she's picking.
Did she go under the water, though?
Yes. Well, the clips we saw, she went underwater and her hair's all wet and everything. So I was like thinking, I'm like, wait, what is the timeline of this? And so I'm thinking maybe she went to a confessional after she gets in the water. Maybe they took her to a confessional to hear what she wanted what she was thinking.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then she came back. Can you imagine the three of them just sitting there and waiting for her? Oh my gosh.
That's
And
kind of
Nora
iconic.
with power is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on my television. No, powerful Nora is insane.
So here's my thing. Nora gets to make the choice of who's making fire, essentially choosing one person to sit next to at Final Tribal Council.
Okay.
She has three choices. That's four. Three choices. And she chooses Tommy? Like,
Yeah.
does that add up for you? Because, like, in my mind, you can see that Dean has a good resume. You can see that Lauren has a good resume. Does that mean that Tommy is the easier person to beat at the end, in her mind?
I think that it came down. I think she genuinely believed Tommy when he said that he couldn't make fire. And she thought that Dean would have a better chance at beating Lauren at fire, which is weird because then we heard Dean say that he had never made fire while he's been out there. So that was so weird.
But my question isn't even about fire. It's like, who do you want to sit next to at the end?
And she thought she had a better chance against Tommy.
Is that what it is? Because she then said that she thought she had a better chance at beating Dean. So then why not take Dean?
Because it's Nora, and this is normal for her to think this way.
So the only reason that makes sense is if she thought that Tommy and Lauren were going to be making fire, which in my mind would have been the most epic, iconic move to make them split up in that moment.
I know.
But she was more worried of Lauren coming back. But in my mind, she chose the winner. And she chose for Tommy to win over Lauren.
Oh,
like she made that. Yeah, but I've thought about this. I've thought about if you get to the end, and Jamal has said it himself. You know, every single Survivor fan has thought about getting to the end. What was the move that they were going to make? You know, people could bring it back to season 2. Colby Donaldson. You got the choice between Keith and Tina, and he wants Tina to have a reward. He wants her to have, 50 grand, if not the mill. It is 50 still, right? It's not 100.
Oh, I'm second place?
Yeah. I think it's 50.
That's a good question.
I can't remember. But he doesn't want to give Keith that. He wants it to go to Tina. But in the process, he loses the bigger portion. But people have the argument that if he took Keith, he would have won.
Yeah.
So now it's like, people are not necessarily playing the I want them to get a cash prize. I just want to win. So did Nora make the bold choice to try and win the game? Or did she just try and, like, I don't even know that she would have won. Like, well, I mean, she didn't.
I know. And she thought, I think that everybody in camp was talking about how Lauren was going to win the game, just like everybody was talking about how Janet was going to win the game.
Right.
So Nora just she knew that, Lauren's the next person to go.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my thing, because I'm this kind of player where I would rather make it to the end and beat the stronger players than sit next to weaker players. And
really,
well, a lot of people are like, well, that's an idiotic move. But
I could see. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. It's one of those things that it's like, I don't want to have my win based off of sitting next to people who weren't deserving. Like I want to deserve my win.
Yeah.
And not only that, if I don't deserve my win, I want somebody who does deserve it to win. And I think the perfect example there is people can claim that Russell losing to Natalie is the perfect example of that. Like, did she deserve that win, or was it just people didn't want him to win? We've seen that happen multiple times. I'm not saying that she was a terrible person, but did she play the best game of Survivor?
Yeah.
So it's one of those questions that it's like, could you take somebody to the end, knowing that they have a better chance than the other people, but have that good faith in yourself? Because I think that's where I stand, and I don't know that I would actually play that out in the real thing.
Right.
But that's where my heart tells me. And like Tommy said that Tommy had a confessional. It was like, I can think with my head or I can think with my heart. My heart wants me to take Lauren, but my head is like, to get rid of her.
Yep. And that just shows, once again, how competitive you are, Dion. Like, you're in it to win it, and you want to beat the best. Like, I could totally see you taking the best to the end.
Because if you don't take the best to the end, you're gonna be the best, and they're gonna take you out. That
Exactly.
was very Luke of me. Australia's survival Luke. I don't know. They're gonna take me out.
I'm the king of the jungle. Okay, so when Lauren gets voted out, I am watching the finale with my friends Rachel and Caleb.
Shout out
Rachel and Caleb. I'm watching it with them. We were watching on an hour delay because we had to wait for all the kids to be put to bed so we could watch it. So my friend Rachel, she turns to me as soon as Lauren gets voted out. She goes, Hannah, this is you getting voted out. And I was like,
Final Four.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it is Final Four getting voted out because they were a huge jury threat. Not to toot my own horn, but as Lauren said, toot, toot.
Toot.
And wouldn't you know, my mom texted me too. She goes, Hannah, your dad and I are talking about how Lauren at this Final Four is you getting voted out at Final Four. So once again, it's just like, it's an honor to share the Final Four spot with Lauren. And it's just ironic that all season I've been talking about how she's my girl, how I love her.
Like relate to her.
And then she ends up in my spot. So
wow.
I loved her moment with Jeff on the stage. And you know, I just felt like her final words and like what she was saying on stage with Jeff was talking about how she came into the game kind of like being ready to be voted out first and like not knowing how well she would do. And then she got to the end as a threat and just really played well and deserved her spot. And so that's how I feel about myself playing as well, because I came into Survival Challenge just like ready to be voted out first, which I very well might have been, and and made it farther than I really ever thought I would. So
I think we do need to, we do need to commend Lauren on her efforts this season, because it was a tough season. She did play hard. She did have a good social game, and she was still able to kind of say what she wanted to. Sorry, I'm very distracted. There's a squirrel on a tree directly outside of my window. I'm on do you guys refer to it as the first floor or the second floor? Because in Australia, the first floor is the ground level, and then the second floor
is called first floor?
Well, it's second floor, because ground is floor 1.
Okay.
And then you're on the second floor.
Okay, yeah, we call it second floor too, but we don't call it ground level. We call it, first floor is ground level and second floor is second floor.
Right. Oh, wait. Maybe it's backwards. I don't know. I feel like it's different. Anyway, so yes, I think that she played a very good game in terms of being social and all that kind of stuff. I think that she was, in my opinion, she's probably more deserving of the win over Tommy, because she was probably better able to articulate herself, her relationships. I can't, actually, I'm not going to be able to say that, because Tommy definitely had good relationships. You know, we saw that he was able to be close to Elaine. We saw that he was able to be close to a lot of people. Lauren was also close to people. I just think they just both did it in different ways, and they were pretty on par the whole time.
And Lauren's were more obvious, which makes her a bigger threat.
True.
I am so frustrated at Lauren about the fire, though, which I would be with Dean if he lost the fire. I am so frustrated when you hear both of them say, I haven't made a fire since I've been here. It's like, what are you doing? And she did post on Instagram about how she did practice fire every day before she left for the island.
Yeah.
I don't care. What she was making during that challenge, she made a fire, but where was the structure? I was out of my mind, so frustrated that she was just like slowly throwing sticks on there, like, like, where was the structure? I cannot believe it. But okay, she's an indoor girl. Like, I get it. You know, whatever.
Right.
Okay, I whatever. I'll
no,
take it.
like, that's fine. Like, indoor girl, I absolutely get it. But the thing is, you are out there for 38 days at that point. You're out there for 38 days. People always complain about not having anything to do on the island. You know what they do have to do? They have a machete and a flint. They can make a fire.
What did she think was going to happen at Final Four?
I don't know.
Rick Devens tweeted about how he would steal away from camp for hours to practice building a fire. And Victoria tweeted back to him and said, yeah, I would follow you because I thought you were idol hunting and I wanted to see if you would find an idol or not. And she would just have to sit and watch him try to make fire for hours. Then she would just leave. And so, like,
hilarious.
Wow, like Rick Devins was practicing fire every day probably, and he still lost the fire challenge. But there's no excuse. Anyways, so that my girl disappointed me that way.
Oh well.
All right,
At least she got a fire started.
I know.
This wasn't Cook Islands.
Oh dear. Yeah. So, man, is there anything else you want to say before we get to this final tribal? Talk a little bit more about it.
I think that with the edit that we were seeing, it was clear that Janet was going. It was also clear that we weren't getting any footage of Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
This edit was purely there to accommodate to Nora, Dean, and Tommy. We saw the blow up between Nora and Lauren when it came to making the fire.
Wow,
that
Nora.
was huge. And the funny thing is, like, I kind of was like on Nora's side.
Really?
Well, I mean, she probably could have gone about it nicer, but like Lauren just kept on crying that like, but you're sending me there.
Right.
It's Survivor.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, because your crying's gonna make me change my mind. Like, I just thought it was one bad reaction being met with another bad reaction.
Lauren's reactions were hilarious though. Like her face when she's like, "Are you kidding me? Are you for real?" And then Nora was like, "You need to be humble right now." She's like, "Are you serious?
How dare you?"
Oh, so
and it's
good.
like, I'm gonna take all of the machetes. Are you crazy?
Are you crazy?
But the thing is, like, Nora hasn't made her decision. Like, it's not tribal council. This is your opportunity to be like, I completely understand where you're coming from. It just sucks because I know that if I were in your shoes, I would have done that. I would have stayed true to you. You know, seeing two women in the final, we haven't had that in
I know.
seasons.
Lauren could have been fighting for that spot. She still had time to fight for it.
You know, and she's like, you know what? Right now, there is the argument that I'm going to win. But if I'm not there, maybe Tommy will win. You know, is he the right choice to be taking with you? Fight the fight, Lauren. Don't cry.
Lauren has to fight through the emotions and how she's feeling to do that.
And it's easier said than done. I can imagine that it's very difficult while you're out there and you're angry, especially because it's Nora who's annoyed you on so many occasions.
Yeah.
And this is like the breaking point.
And you've put up with her for so long.
Yes. But it was like you saw Dean go off and he's like, Lauren's just crying and I'm learning how to make fire.
Oh my gosh, Dean. I will say, I hope part of me was hoping for this, but I knew it wouldn't happen. But I hope we see it in future seasons, is where the person who wins and tells people who's going to go do fire. I would love to see someone be lying about that. Like if Nora was lying and like not letting Tommy practice all day, and then at the last minute being like, actually, Tommy, you are doing fire, and he's totally unprepared. Like, I hope we get to see that sometime. That would be awesome.
That's probably the move that needs to be made.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I think the only time we saw that done was last season because they were giving...
Oh, because Chris didn't tell them that he was going to go into fire, probably?
Well, Chris didn't tell Devins. So Devins probably thought he was going up against one of the other two.
Yeah.
But he had a little more of that reassurance.
Yeah.
But Chris was able to do that.
Yeah. Wow. So this is kind of my like fresh from the group chat little note. My friend Alex texted me about like, where was villainous Dean the whole time? Like we went from DK chillin' to DK villain, and Dean was so much fun this episode. Confessionals were hysterical, and so him being a villain in these confessionals was so much fun. And it's like, where has he been this whole time? Like we could have had a lot more of this.
I had a friend send me a picture the night of the final tribal council.
Okay.
And it's like a Reddit kind of post. And somebody has titled it DK Villain, the best lady killer ever in the history of Survivor ever.
Oh gosh.
They go on to say, he was the reason Chelsea got voted out.
Oh yeah, he was.
Backstabbing Kelly. Backed out of their secret plan to end his arch enemy Karishma. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. Backed out of their secret plan to end his arch enemy Karishma.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the immunity idol out of Elaine's grab. played Idol Nullifier on the biggest threat, Janet.
Oh my
sent
gosh.
Lauren to the house
Oh
by
my
winning the
gosh.
fire making challenge. And
Dean.
last but not least, he distracted Nora with all the stretching before flexing. Tommy could never.
Tommy could never.
So
yeah, Dean like destroyed all the like powerful women's survivor
the lady
lives.
killer.
The lady killer.
That's it.
Wow. All right, do you want to get to this final tribal?
Let's do it. It's time.
If I remember, you have something sitting on the couch to remind you to bring up something. I'm ready for it.
All right, so we have them all pitch their pitches and whatever. And then it gets to Nora, and she's taking the time to go through each jury member and say, and you were this, and you were that, and blah, 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 and you were this, and that. And they all kind of like hush her, and are just kind of like, enough of that. You know, what about this, that, that?
Yeah.
Then it goes over to Tommy. Now, this can be argued, but I believe that what Tommy was saying is exactly the same as what Nora was saying in like fewer or different words.
Okay.
And everybody just sat there peacefully listening to him.
Okay,
So
explain it.
So it was just like, you know, Nora's sitting there trying to, she's said it herself, like she's not the most articulate person. You know, it takes her a second.
Brevity is not my strong suit.
Right.
Or was that earlier? Yeah.
Right. But it's like brevity is not her strong suit. Was in the shelter when she was talking to people. But she's somebody who just has what she has to kind of get her point across. And for me, I just felt like people are impatient with her and they didn't like to listen to her way of talking.
Right.
And then
they were already frustrated with her at this point.
Right. So when Tommy essentially comes out with the same approach of like meeting them with this kind of like, and you're all this and blah, 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 and they just sat and listened to him, that annoys me because I'm like, because I literally turned to the person sitting next to me. I'm like, isn't he just saying what she just said? And she got scolded for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of the problem because people are just kind of like so quick to like dismiss people and ignore people and all that kind of stuff. And that strikes a nerve with me.
Yeah.
Because strikes a chord, hits a nerve. Because it's like, this is their opportunity and they're doing the best they can. You know? And it's like almost like, just because you don't deem it to be of a higher like, you know, play to the height of your own intelligence. That's an improv statement there. Play to the height of intelligence. But she's working with what she's got. You know, when she does her metaphors, that's Nora.
Her dating metaphors, nonstop dating metaphors.
I don't know what else you expect. And like, sure, by the time it got to like her third dating metaphor, she's clearly not giving them the response that that wasn't in line with the question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is where like jury groupthink, we're seeing it happen. Like we know that groupthink happens a lot with juries, and you could tell that probably at Ponderosa leading up to final, like people are probably so frustrated with her, and I could totally imagine it just building and building and building. People like making fun of Nora, talking about how ridiculous she is, and it just amounted to final tribal just cutting her off, like you're saying, being super rude and not giving her the time to give her point.
And that's the thing, like you could tell that she had so much harder of a fight than the other two. And I don't think that's a stretch to say. Like she had to change people's opinion. You know, she didn't have to just give them
she had more
knowledge.
Of a battle.
She had to actually change their opinion of her. And I think it was very clear, you know, she didn't take the Troyzan approach and sit there and go, thanks, I see where you're scared, I'm just going to sit here. You know, she actually fought to be acknowledged for where she was at.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I had a hard time seeing. And this is the thing. I want to think it's because Tommy conducted himself well and had a good relationship with people all season. We didn't necessarily see anybody. You know, we didn't get the confessionals from people being like, you know what, Tommy is someone who I just click with and I trust. Like, we didn't get a lot of character development surrounding Tommy. I don't know if I've mentioned that statement before. Like,
I think a lot of people have been noticing, like, have commented on that, like through Twitter or other podcasts have been like, we didn't really get the personal connection with Tommy that we have gotten with other winners before.
Right. But it's not even the personal connection with him. It's other people's personal connection with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody was clearly good with Tommy, but we didn't see, like, did we have Elaine sit down and go, you know what? I trust Tommy, even though we weren't in the same tribe to begin with. But you just knew she trusted Tommy.
Yeah, we got like peripheral ideas of who was connected with him. Mm-hmm.
And so that was the harder part because you just saw them treat him nicely. And I don't want to go out on a limb here and say it's because he is that archetype of straight white male that they don't want to weigh into all of his qualities. But you saw Tom Westman in season 10. You saw the relationships he had with people. You saw how he was able to keep them close and how he was able to gain that respect. I needed to see that from Tommy. I needed to see more of that, less about what's going on in his brain and more about people's opinion of him. I needed the creative development from the outside in, because otherwise it's just very internal, and it's, an internal thought process almost negates the audience. It's like, I know what you're thinking, but I don't know why these people are believing you.
Oh, wow.
That was my whole take. And like, I can see
Would
why.
you say like, so there's other winners that you've seen that we've had though, like Tom Westman, you said, and
Tom Westman. I mean, even Boston Rob in his season.
Oh, and you would say, yes, definitely Boston Rob. And I would say another example that's in the Tommy case category. Thank you. Is Michelle.
Yeah.
When Michelle won, people are like, wait, what were these connections she had? And we hear about them, but you're right. We didn't get evidence of them.
Right. So for me, it's just kind of like, I feel like Tommy had the hardest time convincing the audience that he was worthy of the win. Because we didn't see other people vouching for him all season. They did it behind the scenes. We heard Sandra later on say every time that people would come into Island of Idols, they were saying, I trust Tommy, I trust Tommy, I trust Tommy. I'm like, why am I finding out about this after the vote?
Right.
Like after the fact.
It's very much like a Jeremy Collins win. If you think about no immunity wins or no idols, Jeremy had both of those. But with Jeremy Collins, everybody was besties with Jeremy. Yeah. And everybody was ride or die with Jeremy, just like Tommy was. But I think we got more evidence with Jeremy's win of people saying that than so when it comes to this final tribal, something that I've seen and heard about Tommy winning over Dean, like we saw an amazing battle during this final tribal. It was amazing. I'm sure was the live audience, were people like cheering and like laughing, and were people silent? How was it there?
I feel like you'd get those instant reactions because you don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like like those kinds of like jeers almost. It's kind of like, oh. And then Nora will sit there and be like, and everybody would just laugh. Like, it's just, there's like little cues, but nothing was like raging. It wasn't like a sports game.
So one big thing that has been said about Tommy winning is that the jury said that Tommy owned his game. And I feel like that is a phrase that we hear a lot in Big Brother and Survivor of like, own your game. Well, you own your game. If you own your game, we'll give you the win. And we've heard from Big Brother players Tyler recently. Was that 2 seasons ago? Big Brother. Tyler made it to the end with Casey.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago.
And he lost to her, and people say, he didn't own his game. And so I just wanted to start this conversation with you. What does it mean to own your game? What does it look like when you're not owning your game? And what does it look like when you are owning your game? And how did Tommy win by owning his game?
I just think that owning your game means...
What does the jury want?
I think the jury wants to feel like they had a hand in getting you to the end. And I think owning your game involves them. If you
involves saying like, oh, you did this move. That wasn't...
No, it's more if you own your game and say, I had this in the bag from the get-go, you're not owning the game, if that makes any sense. You're just kind of like, in Nora world. You know, it's like, I just think owning your game means I had to make the hard move. I had to vote you out, and I did that. You know, it's not like my hands were tied and you did this and blah blah blah. It's more like, all right.
When he told Janet, he said, I was planning your vote out way before it happened.
At Final 8, I was considering it. Yeah.
Knowing that it would break her heart to hear that, but he owned it.
I think he honestly should have owned the move about Lauren before somebody else brought it up.
Yeah.
I really do. Because the thing is, for me, I'm that kind of person that's the final time. I would lay everything out. Yeah. Even if people would be upset about it. Like if I were to be at the final tribal council and you're in 5th place, and I'd be like, Hannah, you were my ride or die. I knew I wasn't going to get to the end with you. So I arranged for so-and-so. We were going to get together. We were going to vote you out, knowing that so-and-so had an idol nullifier. Like, information is key. And I think that people need to express more of that. And I think that's the part of owning your game. Talk in detail. Give examples.
Own up to what you did that was backstabbing. And I think I can understand why it's so hard in Survivor and Big Brother. We've especially seen this in Big Brother with Paul and with Tyler, like I already said, is they get to the end and they need to turn that lying off. They've been spending days and days and days lying to people like, oh yeah, I'm close with you. I would never turn on you. And they get to the end and it's like, all right, you need to stop lying and just tell the truth about what was going on. And if they don't do it, the jury's pissed. Like, dude, just say what you did.
The other thing. The other thing is there is the ability for a jury to be bitter. And I don't want to say it in like that whole thing of they're going in angry at someone, so they're going to come out angry. But if you went to the final 5 with somebody, like for this example, you know, like Janet and Tommy, and you find out that Tommy's move was, you know, his move, it wasn't somebody else's move that he joined in on, and you find out that your best friend was planning your demise, like that hurts. So you need to really be able to accommodate to your jury. I think one of the best jury performances I've ever seen was Todd in Survivor China. And I mean, there's no question about it. The way that Jean Robert is like, so why the vote, blah, blah, blah. And Todd just blows all of this smoke up his bum and just makes him feel like he was the most threatening person out there. When we all know, and every single person sitting on that jury knows that he was not.
Yeah.
But Todd made him feel that way. And Jean Robert was lost for words.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just kind of like, that's a win. That's fighting for it. You know, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. I also think that what you don't do is tell people what they did wrong and how that's why they ended up on the jury. You know, I think that there is something to say about how you did something that saved you versus how that person was able to get eliminated. But never discount a person's game, because that was their game and that's very important to them.
Love it. Love it. So I also wanted to just say that thunderstorm moment, the thunderclap that everybody stopped and looked off to the distance was like comedy gold. Especially even Jeff, like kind of just looking at it like, how dare you interrupt our final tribal? It was so great. Is there anything else you want to say about the final tribal before we talk a little bit about the reunion?
Yeah, I think Dean should have won.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple. I thought he fought his heart out. I think he got caught out on something. And even when Karishma had that moment of like, why are you saying this? And he's like, well, why didn't you say this earlier? Clearly meaning earlier in the night. And she's like, well, I'm not sitting there. Like, I couldn't. And he was like, when it rains, it pours. It was that moment of the fall. That's so probably epic. My drop your buff moment, which is just, they just got drenched on and then the rain just stopped.
And then they're like yelling at each other in the middle of the rain.
No, my drop your buff moment is Nora like, that was like therapeutic. It's like a fresh start.
A fresh slate.
That was, I lost it. I thought it was so funny.
Is that when did the audience die at that moment too?
Yes, absolutely they did. So for me, it was like, I think that too many people were ready to discount other people's games because they enjoyed Tommy.
Yep.
So I don't know that he necessarily owned his game as much. In my opinion, he didn't own his game as much as the other two owned their games.
And I'm in the camp of like Tommy's win is something that I love about Survivor is that it just shows how the social game is what lasts in the end. It's not how many idols or advantages you find.
Right.
It's the connections you've made with people and how you've maneuvered. And at the start of this season, I will say this for probably all three of them, but definitely with Tommy is I had no idea how someone who the big straight white guy like Tommy, the guy who kind of looks like a threat. Same with Dean, the guy who looks like the person you get out at the merge boot. I had no idea how they could make it to the end, and they both did. And I just feel like Tommy's win really just comes back to the core of Survivor. Of it is your connections. You make your alliances. He was like he said, he made connections with everybody. He got information from everybody.
Yeah.
And
so what you're also saying is that he shouldn't have made it as far as he did.
Right.
Like in the scheme of things, in the archetype that he is, in the player that he is. And like, to be fair, we saw two very strong, young, straight white males make it to the end of this season of a very diverse cast, which has, the ability to play it out very differently. Yeah, they were able to get to the end there. So do you commend them even more on it? Because they had everything going against them just based on the people who've won in the past. And that's like, it's kind of like, well, is that a strength for them to say, well, you were able to defy the odds? And
and I would say that they made it to the end based on the blunders of several people, because several people messed up, did not make the moves. I would say Elaine didn't make moves in her best interest.
Yeah.
She she made a gamble. She thought that she had something, she had an in with the group. And
well, both of them had the opportunity to vote out Tommy. Elaine had the opportunity to vote out Tommy when Missy was gone, and Dean had the opportunity to vote out Tommy when Karishma went.
Yep.
So they both did that. Like Tommy was up for question multiple times. There's no denying that he wasn't completely safe the whole time. And he still managed to make it to the end. He's not a non-deserving winner. I just like the underdog story.
I know.
At the start of the season, I made a connection with Dean in the sense of seeing him not get the edit, acknowledging that he was probably getting an Alec edit from David versus Goliath, seeing how Alec performed at the merge portion of the game and eventually getting voted out. We saw Dean get beyond that, win challenges at the end. It just seemed like a really nice arc to see him go from zero to hero. And I watched Hercules the other day, so a bit of a hero.
Fresh on the mind.
Yes. And I saw that archetype for him. I just don't know that he was able to really, I guess, own it in terms of, like, he owned his resume. He owned his resume, but he didn't own the fact that he started from somewhere and ended up somewhere.
Here's the thing. I think this is what I said to my friends when I was watching it. I don't think the jury wants to vote for someone to represent their season who pitched their essence as being chill. When he sums it up by saying he was chill and positive, like I'm cool with positive. I think that gets perceived as, oh, I was just along for the ride and I was just going. And I think that, unfortunately, he should not have gone with, he did not pitch himself. Like you said, he could have easily fought for himself. Same with Nora, could have fought for themselves a little bit better, but
I feel like the two of them, like, this was Survivor Nicaragua all over again, but I wanted Chase to win that season, and we watched Fabio win. And Dean was the Fabio of this season, but it's almost they had each other's resumes with the essence of the other person.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
The essence.
So it was like, for me, it's just kind of like, this time I'm still disappointed. Because the other person won.
Once again. Anyways, I do think that Dean, I loved his pitch where he said, couple all the things that I found, along with that feeling when your back is up against the wall, and that's how I was playing the whole time. Like, I thought that was a great pitch.
Yeah,
So,
no, that was great. And that was his conversation of like where he began this game. But I
mhm.
will say this, is there no way that someone like Nora can win this game when she was purely honest and open, and I don't think she was ever um fake. You know, like I think that there were
No.
moments that she kind of conducted herself, like, you know, Jack, when he said nice things about Nora, she's like, thank you. And then Jamal played an idol on her, and then Jack gets voted out by her. And then she turns to Jamal and is like, I'm so sorry that you played that on me.
I
Like,
think,
they
yeah,
were authentic moments, but
I
I don't
know.
think that she like played anyone.
Yeah. I think we talked about this a while ago, but a final three of Nora, Dan, and Karishma would have been, or even Nora, Dan, Dean, could, because we didn't know Dean's like, final end game by then, but
Right.
that could have been the most, compelling, like,
Mm.
could Nora win this thing?
Yeah.
So
I don't
kind of
know.
speaking of Dan, there's two things I want to talk about with the reunion show,
Yes.
and I want to kind of hear what your experience was watching these live. I want to
Yeah.
talk about the Kelly moment, and I want to talk
Uh-huh.
about the Sia birthday money moment. So which one do you
Yeah.
want to talk about first?
Well, I mean, the Kelly moment's very, it's actually a very easy conversation to have.
Hmm.
We saw them do all of, I'm pretty sure everything that they filmed made it to air. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
want
think
there to
that's
be any
probably a
question.
big question people have
Yeah,
is did everything make air? And I think you would say obviously it did, because they had a lot of empty air with Kelly trying to come up with the words to say.
right.
So
I was wondering if they
obviously
would
they would
edit
have,
that down, but
yeah.
it sounds like they didn't.
Could you like
Um,
feel hear a pin drop in the audience during that
Absolutely.
segment?
Yeah. Everybody was extremely respectful, the
Hmm.
cast and the audience.
Yeah.
Um, we heard them out. We saw them escort the whole cast off stage. She sat
Oh, I
down. We
didn't
knew
know
what was about to
that they were
come
all
on.
off stage during that
Oh,
moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They escorted them all off stage. They sat her down, so we knew what was going to happen. We knew there was going to be a one-on-one.
Hmm.
We heard her out. It's obviously her moment. Everybody was arguing that she should have had a platform to talk, and
She got it.
because of the way Survivor is designed, the jury can't speak, and this
Yeah.
was her opportunity to speak.
I feel
And
like it went really well. What is
yep,
your perspective? I thought it was great for Survivor
she got a lot of
owning their mistake.
she got a lot of support from the audience. Once it
Good.
was all done, she got a big cheer and all that kind of stuff. I think
Hmm.
everybody, like, nobody's denying, her stance on anything. We wanted to give her I say we, like I had any say in it. They wanted to give her the platform to speak, and
Hmm.
the audience was willing, as they should have been, to let her and listen to her, and it was a good response. And I think that was a really nice moment that needed to happen.
Yeah, it was really good. That kind of segues into the Sia money, because
Mhm.
I was halfway expecting Kelly to get Sia money, especially when we hear Jeff say that 3 people get the Sia birthday money.
Right.
Um,
Can I ask what made you think she was gonna get it? Like, what
well,
characteristic?
I know, it's just I guess the Sia money has been so, like, I think it's because I almost said Tosh. Ty got
Mhm.
the money for standing for like keeping Mark the chicken alive, and that was like,
Right,
a huge statement for
right.
animal
Yeah,
activists or whatever.
right.
Davey got Sia money because Sia liked how he really had a lot of faith during his
Mhm.
season. And I
Yeah,
thought that and we saw Jamal get, I think,
right.
Jamal got money for being just an amazing person.
Mhm.
And like for what he kind of stood up for. So I thought that Kelly would get Sia money. I just figured, she's been a huge advocate this season. So I just assumed that she would get
Right.
money. So I was
Well,
surprised about it. I wasn't upset about it. I mean, I love, oh my
yeah,
gosh, Elaine's face when Jeff said $100,000.
yeah,
It was like the most epic. Elaine like smiling, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then when he says 100,000, her face
yeah.
completely crumpled. It was
We
the most
lost
precious.
it.
Really?
We lost it in the audience to go from
Uh-huh.
15,000 to 100,000,
Holy crap.
and then he's
And
like,
then
"There's a
Janet's
third
hugging
person?"
her and so happy for her. And then Jeff goes, and the other person who gets it is Janet. And Janet's like, what?
Yeah. That was epic. It was
Hmm.
like for those three people, like, you know, obviously Janet had the stance, and I think the stance that you think that Kelly took was what we saw in Janet.
Yes.
That I think that was what was being rewarded. You know, we saw the support and all of that in you know, Janet's story. She was willing to put her game to the side for her morals.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, without discrediting, you know, Kelly, Missy, Elizabeth, like they weren't willing to put their game to the side for their morals. And I think that's what Janet embodied.
Yeah.
Elaine was somebody who I think is the lovable, you know, great spirited person who we saw in episode 1, where we saw her as that likable person who's going to make it far in the game. And, you know, she was able to make it further in the game, and she was able to do stuff where I think it was, I don't know, you saw a little, I think essence is a good word. You know, you saw her essence, you saw what she was about, and I think that got her that money. Jamal clearly has a great way of speaking. I have a very love-hate relationship with Jamal. You know I do.
You should should share what you texted me about Jamal.
Well, I was just about to say, I was like, when I met him, I was like, I need to get a picture for Hannah. And I walked up to him and I was like, hi. I'm
Hi, I hate love you. Nice to meet you.
I was like, you know, my name is Djon. I actually run a podcast with my friend Hannah. She's a big fan of yours, and she has said to me on occasion that she could just let you speak to her for hours.
No, you didn't.
I absolutely did. I'm like, because she just loves the sound of your voice. And he's like, that's so funny. He's like, well, you should say, hey, what's up? And I was like, oh, I would definitely tell her that. So Jamal,
that made my day. When he texted me that, he said, what's up to me? I was like, oh my gosh. I could just hear it. I could hear him saying, what's up?
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, she's going to like ride that for a really long time. And so we had, I got a photo and I sent that to you. I also put these photos up on our Instagram account. We might be able to like go through.
I put a highlight of your finale photo. So
cute.
Yeah, check out our Instagram, Drop Your Buffs podcast. We have Dion's pictures from the finale on our highlights.
Well, there you go. And I made sure I got a picture with Lauren for you as well.
Yes.
I know that she was one of your girls. I believe I got pictures with the top 6.
No big deal.
Season.
Gosh.
They're all really lovely. Such a lovely cast. I think, you know, considering the season that they had, they all bonded over it because it was a shared experience. You and we both know about having a shared experience with strangers. It just bonds you. It will.
Yeah, and it's been really cool seeing all of their pictures from when they've all hung out this past summer. They've all like gone and visited each other, and now they're finally posting pictures because now they can, now that the season is over. So it's been really cool.
Yes.
Seeing all those.
I was very happy to, you know, sometimes when you go to finales and the after parties and things like that, the contestants are a little unsure about the environment. They get warned that there's going to be this fandom, this community that's going to come up and ask for photos. And I think this season was a little warmer because it feels like a really long season because of how much attention it's been gaining. And I think the attention that they're getting from audiences at this point is welcomed when it's positive attention.
Yeah,
and I think
I'm sure.
Kind of like riding that. So, you know, met Tommy, awesome guy. You know, Elaine, Nora's fantastic. I told you I could speak to Nora for hours, and I still very much feel that way. I got to meet Karishma. She's very sweet.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Dean's my guy. He's so chill. He was just dancing. And it was just like, you know, I got to, and Janet, I like went up to her. I'm like, can I give you a hug? I
just hold me, Janet. Hold me close, Janet.
I needed her to hug me, really.
I want a Janet hug.
So good. So fun. Such a fun cast. And looking forward to
season 40. Wow. Did you have any idea it was coming?
Oh my gosh.
What?
If what I said last you know, episode, and that was me being psychic.
So guys, heads up, we're gonna keep podcasting for season 40.
Woo!
I'm just like, how could we not podcast about season 40? This is like, it's still surreal that we're going to have all these winners there. Just seeing the trailer for it, the little teaser was like, I had goosebumps. I was like, this is happening.
So we saw all of the faces go really quickly.
We did.
So let's go in order of who we're seeing come back. All right. You've got the OG generation. which I believe is prior to season 20. Now that we're 40 seasons in, you're going to have the OG, which is pretty much there. I mean, there is that like middle school, but we're just going to consider that. Okay.
Yeah, who are our OGs?
Season 3, Ethan's on.
Oh, yes.
Season 7, Sandra. Season 8, All Stars with Amber. Season 11, Guatemala, we have Danny. Now, Danny is going to be the first new contestant from Guatemala.
From that season. She's the only one. Yeah.
Because we saw Bobby, John, and Stephanie come into that season, and Stephanie's played again since, but nobody else from Guatemala has played again. So this is going to be interesting because it's almost the forgotten season.
Yeah, seriously.
Season 13, Cook Islands, we saw Yul win.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for Yul.
I know, everybody's very excited because he was seen as a very big mentor.
People have been waiting for him to return forever.
Yes. Season 16, Parvati is coming back fresh after having a baby.
A baby.
So now she's coming out there as a mum. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a different strategy there.
We've got a lot of moms out there this time. And dads.
Yes. So that's OG. So what's that? Did you count how many that was?
No, I'm kind of looking at a picture right now of all the contestants to kind of keep track too. Sure. Do you want to throw Boston? Did you throw Boston Rob in there? But he wins later. So
he wins season 21. He is the next winner. Every single person after that is a new winner. In my mind, Boston Rob is still a recent winner.
Dang.
But that was 9 years ago?
I don't remember.
No, sorry, not season 21. It was season 22.
Okay.
So he won Redemption Island.
Uh-huh.
Now, the winner of South Pacific was Sophie. Sophie's coming back. For her. Mm-hmm. So I believe she was in question for Game Changers and didn't make it back that season. But she's back for an all-winner season. Mm-hmm. So that was season 22 and season 23. Season 24 was
You were so good at this. Your Survivor trivia.
So season 24 is One World. That's where we saw men versus women all existing on one island, and Kim Spradling took her final, oh my gosh, a women's alliance made it to the end, women's alliance. So Kim Spradling's back. Season 25, Survivor Philippines, the season that brought it all back for me. Now, the winner of that season is the only contestant to ever have gone to every single tribal council in their season, and that was Denise Stapley.
Denise.
That's Denise Stapley, right? That's not the lunch lady. Yep. So she made it all the way through her season and won. It was Denise and Malcolm. That was their season. Mm-hmm. So season 26, we're unfortunately not going to see Cochran coming back.
I know, that would have been an epic one. Right, he was probably like, no, I'm good.
Right. So the other one that we're not going to be seeing coming back is Mike. So Mike won season 30. He's not coming back either. So those are going to be the two people. Other than that, pretty much every other, and not seeing, obviously not Chris from last season, because
we're seeing
was filming as this one was airing, or vice versa.
We're seeing Millennials Gen X winner Adam Klein. We're seeing Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, Benjamin.
Yeah. No, wait, you skipped.
I'm kind of going out of turn.
Okay,
sorry.
So I was gonna say, because we've got seasons. Sorry, we're going.
Dion, you could take us.
So we've missed out on Cochrane. Season 27 was the very first Blood versus Water. That's where we saw Tyson Apostle. So he's.
I cannot wait for it. I love Tyson.
I can't stand him. So that's all you.
Oh gosh, of course that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So season 28, Cagayan. That was Spencer Bledsoe's first season. Chaos Cass, Wu, and Tony was their winner. Tony is coming back. The first vote out on his season of Game Changers, I believe. Yes. Because he wasn't Second Chances. Second Chances was Sierra. Tony was the first person voted out of Game Changers.
Or Sierra was the first.
No, that was Second Chances.
No, Sierra made it far in Second Chances.
Oh.
She's part of the Witches' Coven.
He was the first person voted out of his tribe.
Oh, probably, yeah. Okay. Him and Sandra. Do you think so? They started out together. Oh, you know what? We got to save all this talk for.
Okay, yeah. All right, sorry. All right, we're getting distracted. Okay, after Cagayan, we saw the second Blood versus Water, San Juan del Sur. That was Natalie, the Twitty. She is coming back. She was in consideration for Game Changers.
She was. She got a concussion, so she couldn't go do Game Changers.
She had a big gash on her face.
Fun fact, Natalie Anderson is my favorite winner. of Survivor. Yep. Of course, this surprises you. Yep. Because
Why?
we have opposite views of Survivor, apparently.
I just hate that season.
I love that season. It's one of my favorite seasons. Bring the hot mess seasons. Okay. All right. So Natalie Anderson.
Season 30, Mike's not coming back. Season 31, we have our second chances. That's when we saw Jeremy Collins win. Yes. Season 32 was Karong. That's where we saw Michelle
Fitzgerald.
Fun fact, Karong was filmed before Second Chances, but Second Chances aired first. Season 33, Millennials versus Gen X. We're seeing Adam Klein, our Survival Challenge alum, and Survivor CBS American alum coming back. Season 34 was Game Changers. Sarah Lucina, the last female to win a Survivor season, is coming back to show everybody what she's made of. In my opinion, I wanted her to win that season all season, so I was very excited. Very happy.
That's cool.
And a lot of people disagree.
Yeah.
That's okay. Season 35 is yes. So that is Healers, Hustlers. Ben wins that season. He's coming back. Season 36. That is Ghost Island. Wendell's
coming back, and I feel like he's got a shoe in to win. Okay, we could talk about that later.
Season 37. That's interesting. Season 37. We see
that's David versus Goliath, right?
David versus Goliath.
And Nick Wilson is coming back.
Now, he is the last winner that we will see coming back.
Good job, Djon. That was awesome.
That's my brain. Like, but yeah, so that is fun. It just goes to show that we're seeing a lot of OG female winners, because in that second chunk, I think we only saw a handful. We saw Sophie, Kim Spradling, Denise, Natalie, Sarah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. And so this kind of like is a little teaser to like Djon and I are hoping to do a Survivor season 40 like pre-game podcast where we want to go really into detail about all these winners and hopefully with the focus of what are these connections we're going to see coming into season 40.
There is going to be a spreadsheet. We're going to have like how everybody's connected from their former seasons. People who live in the same cities.
People have things that we've seen on social media of people being connected. Like we've got a lot of thoughts. So and then we could go into more detail about who we think is going to do well, who we think has an uphill battle and whatnot. So,
and as we saw, Rob said it's going to be really messed up if he has to,
vote out his own wife.
If daddy's going to vote out mommy.
Mama.
Yeah.
That in itself is going to be epic.
I know.
Yeah. So, man, is there anything else to share about what's coming next for us?
What's coming next is we're going to be doing our season 40 podcast starting in February. So definitely come back to listen to that. In the meantime, don't go anywhere. We are going to be doing a podcast next week on our experiences on the Survival Challenge. We're going to give you all the inside scoop, have some guests talking about their own experiences. We've talked about it so much this season. We want to give you the ins and outs of it all.
Because that was epic. Because applications are dropping in January and we want to get the hype out. We want to get more information out so that you guys can apply.
Yes. So next week, we're going to give you our own experience after Christmas, our own holiday special, which is the Survival Challenge Drop Your Buffs podcast.
I love it. Yeah. So, and then
after that, we're gonna play it by ear. I have a feeling we're gonna be dropping some weekly podcasts. Drop your buffs, dropping podcasts.
Keep subscribed. See what happens.
Yeah, very.
See what drops into your podcast feed.
I know, and I just want to say congratulations, Hannah, on finishing up your first season of Drop Your Buffs.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks. I'm very excited. We started this just being two friends talking about Survivor. And here we are, 2 hours later.
I know this. Congratulations to everybody who has lasted this long.
Thank you. This was very much a rambling
one. Flew by.
Because there was so much content. You know how it is. But we're very excited that this season is wrapped up and we're going on to season 40.
I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I hope we can get some, more fun special guests for next season so we can hear other people's perspectives. Yeah.
I would love some for the audience to let us know what we could cover in the meantime. An idea that I've had is I would love, maybe not episode by episode, but Hannah, if you haven't watched the Australian Survivors, maybe we could smash out a season and then just do a podcast on a season.
Yeah.
So we could do not now, because Australian All-Stars is also going to be on.
Holy crap. I cannot wait for that too.
Year. So they're probably going to be airing at the same time as the American version.
Really? Oh dear.
Yeah. So that's going to be massive. So I don't know how many seasons you've watched, but we should probably go back, cover as much as we can, and then maybe, there's at least the whole of January. That's 4 weeks. We could cover a season a week.
I know, we could keep up something. And I've already told you that I'm totally toying with the idea of covering any live reality games this summer.
Yes.
That I've posted 2 interviews with people who played the South Africa Survival Challenge. So if people are interested in live reality game coverage, please let me know, because I'm really thinking about doing that. So
Hannah's about the live game world. I'm about the televised game world.
I know, right?
Our 2 worlds collide.
Ever since I played Survival Challenge, there's this whole new world that has been really fun to keep up with.
I love it. And hopefully we can get that podcast for Race Across LA as well, because we're definitely, that was hosted by William Yalton, and he is hoping to get some more going. So whether it's in LA, I think there's potential for them existing in other places. Who knows? We'll see. The future, it's open at this point.
There's so much. So keep up with us on all the social medias. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Where we have an email if you want to email us.
Yes.
Just reach out.
Yep. I'm so excited. All right, let's wrap this up. It's been long enough. Hey, Hannah, you know what?
What?
I got nothing for you.
What?
How
the tables have turned. All right, guys. Thanks for listening this far, and thanks for supporting us all season long. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.